Well, on the field here at Acrisure Stadium, where the Browns are 28-14 losers in their season finale, unable to spoil Pittsburgh's playoff hopes, but those playoff hopes were spoiled by the Miami Dolphins, who beat the Jets. So Pittsburgh not going to the playoffs. They do finish with a winning record. Mary Kay, Deshaun Watson, let's start there. They go 3-3 in his 6 starts. Today, a little rocky. He was sacked 7 times. He threw 2 interceptions in what is his final start this season for the Browns.
Yeah, you know what? You just can't get away with those interceptions. You can't lose the turnover battle in a game like this, especially on the road. They will make you pay. They got 10 of their points off of those turnovers, and a couple of them were, the first one I thought was a pretty bad decision into a lot of traffic. The second one, I think it was the safety, just jumped the route. And so you just can't be doing that. Deshaun knows that, but he was also under siege, and that's a concern. I mean, he was really under so much pressure, sacked 7 times, but nevertheless, he feels like there's a lot of hope going forward and many things to be optimistic about.
Yeah, Ashley, it's still disappointing, though, because after that second half last week, I think a lot of people hoped we'd see kind of a vintage Deshaun game. It just didn't happen today.
Yeah, so I think now it's just more of a waiting game, right? I know the question was asked, like, hey, when you come back in 2023, do you think you're going to be the same Deshaun Watson that you were in 2019 and 2020? And Deshaun wouldn't really, answer that question specifically, but I do think it is an interesting question. Like, what's this guy going to look like after another long layoff that these guys are going to have over the next few months until OTAs start, basically. So there is definitely, I think, that kind of feeling that it should have carried over and it didn't. And I think that's disappointing for, those guys in the locker room and for fans, obviously.
Now, of course, everyone's kind of waiting to see what will happen with this, specifically Joe Woods on the defensive side of the ball. Mary Kay, what did Kevin Stefanski have to say about that? And what should people expect here over the next few days?
Well, the players will clean out their lockers tomorrow. It's getaway day. They'll have their exit interviews. And then we will also meet with Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry tomorrow. So I don't know if they'll make any decisions on the staff tomorrow, but they will certainly take a long, hard look at Joe Woods, the defensive coordinator. I think they'll look at special teams too, and they'll try to figure out if they need to change up those coordinators. If they do it, I think they'll do it pretty quickly. And it seems to me that, the vibe has sort of been that Joe will go, but you never really know in the end.
And Ashley, you were over there. We talked to John Johnson today, and, we asked him about Joe Woods. He didn't exactly give us a ringing endorsement, I guess. It just feels like guys are resigned to maybe changes coming.
Yeah, no one really, I think, that we talked to today gave him a ringing endorsement in particular. And I do think that says something, right? Because we have heard guys in the past, like Myles Garrett, kind of give those full-throated endorsements of Joe Woods. But yeah, I think the answers today were kind of like, hey, it's the NFL, it's a business, things happen. We'll be ready to go no matter who's out there. So yeah, not exactly the endorsement that makes you think Joe Woods is going to be running this defense in 2023.
Okay, one more thing. This just popped in my head, so none of us are prepared for this. But Mary Kay, sum up this season.
Very disappointing. I mean, 7-10, I walk away from here looking around that locker room, seeing guys like Myles Garrett, like Nick Chubb, Amari Cooper, Pro Bowl guys, Deshaun Watson, and seeing that they only won 7 games and the Pittsburgh Steelers won 9 with a rookie quarterback. It's just unacceptable to me, and they really have a lot of work to do in the offseason.
Yeah, Ashley, I kind of feel the same way. You saw the Steelers today with Kenny Pickett. They were playing a meaningful game. The Ravens were actually resting guys as they get ready to play a playoff game, and they've had worse situations than the Browns, and I just think that speaks to what this season was.
Yeah, this game, I think, to me, kind of underscores the Browns are so far from being the contenders that a lot of people have anticipated they would be in each of the last 2 seasons. And I think, like you said, Dan, the Steelers had a lot of similar issues to the Browns, right? Like, they had some quarterback strife for very different reasons. They had a star defensive player out. The Browns obviously didn't lose their star for a long period, but lost their whole linebacker room, basically. And I just think the Steelers found a way to win. They found a way to stay alive, to survive in advance, and play a meaningful game here in Week 18. And the Browns just weren't close to that. They were knocked out 2 weeks ahead of time. So I think it's just they have so far to go from reaching those Super Bowl goals that they have.
All right, so a disappointing 7-10 season comes to an end for the Cleveland Browns here at Acrisure Stadium. So many disappointing seasons have come to an end right here on this field, 28-14. We'll have full coverage of everything that happened today and everything that's going to happen in the next few days. We'll hear from Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry on Monday. It'll all be at cleveland.com/Browns.